One of the things that I used to do myself and that I was so time consuming, and I don't ever think I was really good at it until I came over here and saw these guys at J&M doing it. We're talking line splice, splicing the mono into hollow core braid. Angelo Di Paola, the coastal connection with eXp Realty. I'm here with my good buddy Brent, J&M Tackle, the Gulf Coast foremost saltwater outfitter. Let's get started because
Absolutely.
I mean, this thing took me so long. It was so frustrating for me to do it. And then you guys have all the right tools and you know all the tricks.
Yes, sir. And having the stuff set up how it is does make it 100 times easier than doing it say on your boat or at your house. But
yeah.
It is going to be very similar concepts to that, and how we're showing you that.
Cool. All right, well, let's get started. What do we have here?
Yeah, so, well, first step, we got the reel spooled up. This is specifically a 25 Talico, spooled up with 500 yards of 80-pound hollow core. This one here is going to be a Diamond 80. Next thing you're going to need is mono, of course, and that all depends what you want to go with. This reel specifically, again, we're going to be matching it with an 80. So this is 80-pound diamond mono, and then your needle.
I mean, that was one of the things that just stuck out to me is you're going 80 to 80, and I was like, man, I'm like, you're gonna be able to get this into that?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah. So first step, and one thing that makes that much easier is we here like to use this is actually a 60-pound mono needle, and what we do is we take this mono and we just kind of shave it down into a little point. That allows us to be able to put it into a smaller needle, which makes it flow through that braid a little easier. So makes it super simple. It doesn't have to slide all the way up that needle. It just has to wedge in there. And from there, again, just makes it much easier, especially when you're doing a bunch of them.
You guys are so slick.
We try. So again, like I was saying before, and like you were saying, is people have different variations of doing it. You can start going right into the side of it. What I do is I go to where I cut it off the spool, right on the end here. I just take that end and start with my needle. It's a little challenging. It takes practice to get good at it, but hardest part is just starting that needle right in the center there.
Man, you know what? You need a young set of eyes.
Yeah, that helps a little bit.
And like too much coffee. Like you don't want to have you don't want to do this after that 8th cup of coffee in the morning. You're going to be jittery.
Yes, sir. So basically, all it is just sliding that down. You're just putting that needle up into that hollow there, and what that's doing is creating basically a Chinese finger trap. 100% breaking strength. This is by far the strongest knot known in terms of a mono to a braid connection.
I mean, it is like, this has been around forever, but it still blows my mind where we are today in the fishing world that,
yes,
that this reel right here could go catch a 500-pound blue marlin.
Absolutely.
Loaded with 80-pound, like, I don't even know, you spooled it up before we even got to, I mean, how much?
So it's 500 yards of 80, which is similar to what you're doing on like a 30 wide.
But however, with 80.
Correct. 80-pound on the backing and then matching with that 80 on the top. Now, it won't be a large top shot like your conventional 30, 50, and 80 wide reels. It'll be about 100 yards, but that's going to give you just a perfect amount for tuna fishing, bill fishing, basically whatever you want to do to have that little bit of stretch that mono gives you.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like, if you're thinking about lure fishing and you're going to be fishing with this reel with 80-pound line, I think it's one of those things you really got to think about the size of the lure, the size of your hook, like how stiff your rod is.
Yes, sir.
Like, it's one thing to have reel capacity that can handle a big fish. It's another thing to have like enough backbone in the rod to send the hook home. I mean, on a tuna or dolphin or wahoo, not that big of a deal. Correct. But a blue marlin with a bony face, like.
Yeah, and also, you're going to have your leader. So whether you're going with a heavy marlin lure, you might have 300-pound leader to prevent that chafe.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have that 80 to 80, which is giving you tons of strength. And I think, like we talked about in a previous video, it's hard to break 80-pound line when you're really pulling on it.
Well, look, we're sitting there pontificating hook size and tackle. But what do we got going here?
Absolutely. So you can see I've already kind of spliced it into there while we were talking. I don't. It kind of just comes right to my head. I don't even realize I'm doing it. But what I do is we're splicing it onto that needle, and we're giving us, a little bit of slack here. You'll see it building up.
Yeah.
And then we slide it back, so that way it's pushing its way through there.
And how far do you want to take this?
So a minimum we do here is 6. Honestly, you could put it in there 1 foot, and I doubt you could pull it out. It's super strong, but
I like
6
the
to
6.
15.
I feel like this. Like I'm the guy that is. If the doctor says take 2 Tylenol, I'm taking 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, and all it is once you get the mechanics of it down, you're just sliding it onto the needle, pulling it back, and every once in a while you can kind of slide that slack down, which is pulling it up to your mono, just creating a Chinese finger
now,
trap.
do you want this loose? It looks like you've had it fairly loose to make it
I do. I don't like it. You pull it too tight, it's gonna pull that hollow hole tight. So you kind of want it a happy medium, a little bit loose, but still not so loose where it's gonna go. You'll see sometimes it'll pop out like this.
Oh God, that's the worst. It's so hard for me to get restarted.
Yes.
What happens when you do that? How do you correct this?
Easiest thing is you'll have a little slack on this needle. All you're gonna do is kind of push it backwards, slide it tight, and then just restart. Just keep going.
Slide it back tight is the key.
I'll just kind of do it again. Pop it out. Whoops. We're gonna slide that back, and then keep going. So it's super simple.
Well, the other thing outside of just getting all the line capacity and then having the line capacity with the braid and having the stretch with the mono is that like this needs to be changed out fairly often.
Correct.
Like you could change it with this, it's not like you're throwing away a ton of mono. Like you could change this out every trip if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it's theoretically, if you're fishing pretty hard, it should last a minimum of 3 months. Me personally, I could probably make a top shot last a year or so, maybe even 2 years if I don't use it too often. But you just want to watch out for dry rot and memory. That's about it.
Look, it's kind of early. We're not like full on offshore fishing season yet. If you're thinking like you need to get your reels re-top shotted, which there's a whole stack of reels in here today, like we should probably go ahead and get these in sooner rather than later.
That's what we try to encourage people to bring them in before the tournament season starts. That way, we're not rushing on your reels. We're making sure everything's done perfectly, because tournament season comes in, everybody wants to bring their reels in on the same weekend, and it does get a little, kind of.
We got 4 guys that do it, but you have 2 machines sitting here to do it.
Exactly, and these are hydraulic machines. You will not really see these in any other shop. These are very, very pricey and very specific to big game reels. It lays that braid tighter than any other, triangle sport spooling machine that you'll commonly see at tackle shops. It's really impressive.
Hey, and tell us why that's important, especially with braid.
Yeah, well, number one, it's going to make it last super long. It keeps it tight, keeps the moisture out of it. Number 2 is it's packed on there really good, so you're going to be holding more line. So you hook into that tournament winning fish, and you need that extra 100 yards, you're going to have it. And then also it lays very evenly. So when that fish is making its super long run, it's not crossing up. It's very laid perfectly, comes out evenly.
Well, and the reason all that stuff is important is if anybody that's ever spooled their own spool at home with braid, you are not going to get it packed on there tight. So you don't have the capacity. But what happens is, when it's not packed on tight, and this is such a thin diameter, what does it do?
It gets caught in itself.
It binds down on itself.
And when you bring your reels in and you have us dump the old line off of them, we can immediately tell when it's done by hand. It'll get this weird looking cross in it, like it gets all bunched together. It
Yeah.
looks rough.
I've had it happen.
Yes, sir.
I speak to it as somebody that's made the mistake.
Me personally, I have as well, and that's that's another thing is learning from that and realizing, all right, getting it done on machines better.
There's a reason that I always bring my reels into you guys versus doing them myself nowadays. And it's not just the time saving, it's that I know it's going to be done right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we stand behind it and make sure it's done correctly. I do just want to show you how to take the needle out. It's as simple as before. You're going to want to hold that mono to pull it from the needle and then just slide your needle right on out. So super simple. Make sure that's all tightened down. I'll make sure this mono isn't wrapped. So from there, what I like to do is just make sure all this braid that I pulled off onto the mono is tight and ready to go. Let's see, I'm gonna spool it onto the machine, or put it onto the reel now, and that's gonna start the process of finishing this knot. Oh, let me turn the machine on. All right, so here we have a little tool made up, and that's going to keep this line super tight for our half hitches that we're about to start. We have this glove to protect the mono. Just like you're wrapping a dock line, you want it tight. Wrap it around the cleat a couple times. And you can do this on your boat. This is a game changer when it comes to tying hollow splices. Having something you can tie that mono to keep it tight really, really helps. So you got that tight?
I mean, it's key.
Absolutely. You can't do it loose. You need that mono tight to have these to have the finishing knot. Now, technically, you could fish with that knot right there. It's going to hold, but what we're about
The
to
water
do
pressure is
here,
going to push that
yeah,
up.
exactly. And what we're going to do is just put half hitches on here to keep it from doing that. It's going to keep it tight and ready to go.
All right, let's see this next phase.
Absolutely. I like to pull out more than I need. So 5-6 feet of 30-pound. This is Super Slick Power Pro. It doesn't really matter too much. You could use whatever you want to. Just a small diameter braid really helps.
All right, so you got the Super Slick. I got a feeling you can use anything, but I think there's always a reason why somebody that knows what they're doing does what they do.
Yeah, so I'll explain that. Smaller diameter, the more it's going to grip onto that mono. It's going to grip onto the braid, because what we like to do is 1 inch on the braid, or 1 inch on the mono, 1 inch on the braid. That way it's grabbing everything very tightly and it's going to prevent it from sliding. So I take that 6 foot and double it up, just like so.
All right.
And basically, it's almost like creating a buoy loop in a way. We're going to put it around here and just wrap it onto there 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, we're just doubling that up and putting it on there. Pull that tight, and then we can kind of slide it into place where we want it.
I mean, you look at this and it's like watching a magician show you a magic trick and how it works. All right, so what's the next step from here?
All right, so next step, make sure this the knot's on there tight and
so it's about 1 inch from the from the connection.
About 1 inch there. Again, we like to make it about 2 inches in total, so just half hitches. Pull down tight. Just keep repeating these half hitches. So once you get about 10 on there, it's going to really hold that in place, and I won't have to hold this every single time I pull that half hitch down. So just make sure.
And it's going that way, so it's kind of pulling that braid over the mono.
So that way, once I get to that mono, it's going to keep pulling it that way, and it's going to lock in those little strands that have kind of come loose. So we're going to keep going here. And about at this point, just make sure your mono stays tight. Like I can kind of feel it pulling out there, so I want to just make sure. So,
so you've been going one way, yeah.
Exactly. So once you keep going one way, it wants to kind of roll over itself. So how to counteract that is just toss your braid over and start from this side, but keep going the same way. So now it's to a point where I probably don't have to hold that knot. I can pull it against it. So just in
I mean,
line.
it's just little details of like just going from the other direction.
Yes, sir. So then all it is just running it up that. And this might be where you want to time lapse it.
Well, you know what? You say time lapse, and we were talking about it at our meeting this morning. Is just like the people that are really good at something make it look effortless and easy, and like watching you. I don't know, like honestly like kind of pleasant for me.
It is a
Just
little
like it's like
satisfying.
watching somebody like weave a rug or something, I guess.
Yes,
It's
sir.
got that weird satisfaction.
Absolutely.
Uh,
It's fun. I mean, really, this is not something that I dislike doing. It's fun every time you do it. It's satisfying for yourself.
yeah, you get to see at the end of the day, you built something.
Absolutely, and it's really satisfying. When a customer comes in, gets the reels done, and then they end up winning the Blue Marlin Grand Championship. That'll make you feel good on a knot you tied or something like that. Making dreams happen with
Oh
these
yeah.
knots.
Well, I'll tell you, like, I don't know, like coming in and getting all my reels re-spooled and looking at that fresh mono that's not doesn't have the little haze from being stretched out.
Yes, sir.
It's more satisfying than getting your oil changed, and I feel pretty good about getting my oil change.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Having that fresh line on your reels does make you feel good. So I got about 2 inches on there. You can kind of see the braid through there.
Yeah.
About 1 inch, about 1 inch. So what we do, since those are half inches all the way, I'm just gonna take it, do a risotto. So very simple. 1, 2, 3. Wrap that loop back around 3 times and just pull down super, super tight.
It's so beautiful. I love it.
Sir, practice makes perfect. And then I'm just going to show you one more thing that we really like
I'm gonna
doing.
step back because like
Yeah.
sometimes my wife's gonna be like, how do you ruin all your clothes? Like this.
Yes,
Like what you're
sir.
about to see.
Then I like to put that mono behind me so that way I'm not getting any glue on that. But this is Instaflex glue here. It really connects that braid together. So not too much because you don't want it coming onto there. It can go onto there a little bit, but we just try to avoid that.
Oh, you've stopped a little ways. I'm watching the bead kind of run down.
Exactly. So as little as you can, and you want to make sure it's on that last kind of risotto knot that you had. So it gets to the point where it's all covered up. You just give it a couple
This is why I
flicks.
stepped back.
Yeah, so it's very tight. So it's just gonna kind of be like a guitar string almost. A couple pops.
And get rid of all the excess.
What I like to do is just roll my fingers on it to make sure there's none left, because
Yeah.
we would hate to spool a super glued knot into your to your spool and it gets stuck. So just make sure it's dry.
I love the attention to detail. Like
Yes,
I think
sir.
in our office, like we pride ourselves. Nothing hurts my soul worse than when we miss a detail.
Yes, sir.
And it's these little details that you guys do in here that make all the difference.
And then, I mean, from there, it's really just spooling it on. I mean, I just like to evenly kind of lay it. So again, when that fish is ripping, it's not going to be pulling from side to side real fast. Very clean pull. Get it tight. So I put it in there. And then from there, it's just spooling it up. So very, very simple.
Here, show us how that works, because like you were talking about this machine, but like sitting here, I mean, everything, this is tightened down. This is explain to us what we have going here. So do you
Absolutely. So this is a hydraulic pressure machine. This isn't something that's a friction, like drum brake almost. I don't have to sit here and hold this. I actually adjust it with a little handle here, and I have a PSI gauge here that'll show me how much pressure is on this mono. We don't like to do a ton of pressure, just enough to make sure it's tight, but not enough that it's going to stretch it out putting it on that reel. So again, evenly lays it, but I can put my focus on the pressure rather than holding that spool. So I think that's really important about this machine.
Well, you're like able to really focus on, like you said, pressure, but also like laying that line
Absolutely.
on the spool properly. Now, granted, we'll take this reel and immediately mess your whole world
Yes,
up here.
sir. Exactly.
I mean, I have friends that bought line winding machines
Yes,
for their
sir.
personal tackle rooms, and I get it, man. I love a good tackle room, but like, I don't even know what this operation here costs, but they don't have this.
Yeah, so sadly, the guy that makes these now, he has passed away. So it's something that you can't find anymore, and that we were really lucky to have. And we've had it for probably 15 years, I would imagine, and it's still basically top of the line. There's not a better spooling machine on the market, I don't believe. And this really allows us to, again, just make sure your reels are the absolute best and make sure they're done right.
Brent, I appreciate it.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
here again, it's just like you unwound a magic trick for us here today. And I'm just so honored to be here. Angelo Di Paola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty. If you like attention to detail, if you appreciate this, you'll appreciate working with me. We have a team approach to real estate, just like you guys have a great team here at J&M. We have a great team in our real estate office, and I'm here with Brent, one of the just top-notch team members here. No B players, all A players. J&M Tackle, the Gulf Coast foremost saltwater outfit.